Hi everyone, welcome to the second episode of True Story Bro. And this time we are going to be talking about why are men why do they just come up with the idea of, hey, let's start a podcast? I'm like, oh sure, bro, let's start a podcast. Like, why does that happen? Why are men obsessed with starting a podcast?
And
And
it's
also
not just
you do
men.
it and
There's a
also
lot
tweet
of
about our
women.
one as well.
There's a lot of women doing it as well. Sorry,
It's a
it's,
lot,
it's
but the men outnumber the women for sure. Same, like
that's the case in like
sure, right?
everything. But like there's, but there's
Let's
the
not
men
go
and
there,
women.
but yeah, sure,
I mean, it's true, right? No, but anyway,
sure.
my point is there's men and women
Mhm.
who are very
Of course.
interested in starting podcasts. And the reason that we also decided to go ahead with one is because a podcast is a great way to really talk about different situations and different scenarios and
Mm-mm. Mm.
and just reflect on it while at the same time building a personal brand, or even if you are in a company, building a company brand around it, right? We're just bringing out our personalities, and
Mm-mm.
through the personality of those who are on the podcast, and hopefully the people we hope to bring into the podcast, we hope to build a brand around it, which I think, whether it's a personal brand or whether it's a company brand, I think that is essentially why people, and that is also why we decided to go ahead with our podcast. And in fact, Gary Vee says the best way right now that you can promote your business at zero cost is by launching your own podcast. So, Gary Vee, thank you for
I
validating
mean,
my
I
work.
certainly did not need post, but I certainly did not need Gary Vee. Like as much as I love him, I don't need a. I didn't rather need a Gary Vee to realize that, hey, let's start a sports podcast. Uh, but yeah, like every podcast has its challenges and stuff. But are you willing to go ahead with it? Like you have certain dips. Like even this, I'm pretty sure you will have a dip. It's like a relationship, bro. Like if
Yeah, and
you're having
you have
a
to find the
relationship,
right
like there are
person,
ups and there are downs, bro.
and you have to find the right person or persons to do it
Yeah,
with. Because
exactly.
one thing that both of us really asked each other was, are we at least willing to commit 2 years to this consistently? Right? Because if you
Consistently, yeah.
can't do something consistently, at least for a period of 2 years, there's no point really getting into anything. And I think this is something that I've struggled
Mm-mm.
with personally. I'm very fast paced. Like I want things to happen fast.
Mm-mm.
I do things fast, and then I get bored of it really fast. Everything is just fast. Right. So I really
Yeah,
wanted
exactly.
to stick something through and get into it with someone who would also stick it through. And I at least wanted to make a commitment of 2 years minimum, right? If not, hopefully for the rest of our lives. Will you take me, Kavinkar? You want me to
Sure, bro,
get
for
down
sure,
on
for
one
sure.
knee?
Whoa, 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 whoa. Calm down, slow down, everyone. But no, yeah. So that is exactly why we want to start it. But coming into like why men started, there is no real reason. Like we've seen the memes, we've seen uh, the memes. Like Twitter is full of people asking, why do men get together and just start a podcast? Because it's I mean, yeah, so there has to be quality over quantity, right? Like if you're putting out episodes which people just like, you just talk random stuff, like talk shit, that's fine, but like just make it a bit relatable, right? But I lost my point, exactly what I was going to say, but oh my gosh, I actually lost my point. Do you have
you
anything to
became
say, bro?
you became one of the people that you were trying to shit on.
Thanks. Right. Okay. Yeah. No, no, but that's what I was going to say. Like consistency, right? You need consistency. Of course. Again, I lost it. Oh my gosh, do I have like a mint? No. I don't. It's just like Okay. But what I was going to say was that it's like a relationship. Like you'll have your ups, you'll have your downs, but are you willing to go ahead with that one person and like persevere? Of course, the reason why I said yes to Sishant's idea was because I have time. Like I finished my law college exams, which, by the way, if anyone's watching now and thinking, yeah, this guy can stay on the podcast, like he can record like 30 episodes. Like, bro, I'm sorry. Okay, I like law college did not tell me to wait. Okay, they did tell me to wait for some time, but I didn't tell law college to wait. Like 8 months to finish the exam, right? We were supposed to have it in April, and Sishan was host. We were supposed to have it in April, but due to the country situation and everything, and then like 1 week before the exam, I got COVID, and I was like, oh my gosh, waiting so long and not doing it. Yeah. So anyway, the reason why I said why what I was going to make the point is that that of course the reason why I said yes to this is because I have time, and yeah, that's the other thing. Like analyze whether you have time or not, and then go with it. We did mention in the previous episode, like, are we going to emulate a podcast? Like, I know that. Like, wonder what happened to Block and Dino's podcast session. Like, they started
Yeah,
with
they
one
started off with
episode, and
such a
then that
bang.
meme.
Yeah.
Yeah, that other kamak
Yeah.
and like that thing. It became a
But
meme, and
how
then
but how awesome, isn't it? They did one video and like everyone knows about
bro,
it. I mean, that's more
they
than
did
what
one.
we
Yeah,
can do
exactly,
for ourselves.
exactly. Yeah,
That's
so
amazing.
that's the thing. Yeah, we are, of course, like we are not trying to emulate Block and like they literally got NordVPN on board. And by the way, they got NordVPN on board. And if you're wondering like how big NordVPN is, these guys only go to proper content creators. Like out of maybe 10 content creators you watch, maybe just two of them have NordVPN as their sponsors. So we're trying to get into a level like that. Like we'll be posting our plans also in this episode, like what we're going to be talking about. But yes, that is what Block and Dino do. We are not trying to emulate them. Block and Dino, if you're watching this, like thanks a lot for what you've done for content creation in Sri Lanka. Like we really appreciate it.
Yeah, we are not
Would
by.
love to be on your show or one of your skits. Both of us can act. Both of us can act like we would love to be in one of your skits
Oh,
if we
you
get on it.
sound really
Of
desperate,
course, these
man.
are pitch, bro. These are pitch. Yeah, like I've seen some people who I know on it. Hey, was that Ayub on it? Like shout out to Ayub, by the way, Chikara.
on
My
on
t-shirts on the.
what?
Yeah, Ayub was there.
In one of the videos.
Oh yeah, he was in. It was the video regarding
Yeah, I know
cheating during the
the
examination.
exam thing. The
Yeah,
examination thing.
exam video.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the exam video was also shot in our school, St. Peter's.
So I was
Uh,
there for the big match thing they did. Which they also shot in our school.
Yes. Damn. Am
Yeah,
I the
Kavinka, you
odd
haven't
one?
been on
Yeah,
a
no.
video.
Bro, I know. I haven't been on a video about.
I'm so desperate, man.
No. Bro, I am so desperate, bro. Like, talk about it.
Exactly.
No, because I think it's cool. I think it's very, very cool what they do. They like take like random people and of course put them on the, because I know for a fact that dude called Hisara Yagi on TikTok. Also, like I really love his content, like super stuff. Just I feel like he doesn't need to level up. I think what he does is completely fine. And I love the grandfather impression that he has. Super. But he got
No idea who you're
them
talking
on
about.
board. I think his TikTok followers blew up.
I have
I
no
think.
idea
I
who you're
think.
talking about. I don't know.
Okay, I'll send his profile to you. Very funny guy. But yes, no, we are not trying to emulate Block and Dino, even though we think that they've done a lot. And I don't think that copying them would be that because you can't copy them.
Bro, I think you're going on too much about this.
Bro, I'm just saying, like
Nobody is ever
yeah, true.
with that comparison.
True. But on that note, can you start one? Can you become Block and Dino? Sorry, no, sorry, not Block and Dino. Can you become a Kavinka Seshan? You can't become a Block and Dino.
I
Can you
mean,
become a Kavinka
maybe
Seshan? Obviously.
maybe 2-3 years from now, people will aspire to that for sure.
Of
Uh,
course. Talking about aspirations, like inspirations, bro, you need to like talk about, or rather, we need to talk about who has inspired us, like content creators, who has inspired
for
us
me,
to.
it was always for me that the first self-help or self-improvement. I don't want to use the word guru, but the real
Mm,
creator that I started following was Gary Vee. And
mm,
he was a
mm,
massive inspiration in really getting me on track to what I needed to do. Right. And a lot of the things he said, a lot of the things that he spoke about in terms of content creation, being
mm,
disciplined, working hard,
mm,
all of those things really resonated with me, which is why I, shifted my life around and really started working towards something. Right. Because like I said in the previous episode, when I was in school, I was very haywire. Like I went to school to have a good time. That was my pure
mm,
intention, especially those last 3 to 4 years of school. I mean, I went every single day with the hope that I would get to play football. I would get to jump out of school and go play some video
mm.
game or just have a
Yeah,
drink with my friends. That was my main purpose of like going to school, was never to like be with the teachers and study and write my notes and all of that. Of course, I
yeah,
did that side of it as well, but my main purpose was just to have a good time. So even when I left school, the gravity that, oh, I am now in the working community never hit me. That I had responsibilities, that I had to save, that I had to build a life for myself, never hit me. Again, because also I think it's thanks to my parents, because they have been giving me everything since, I mean, I was a kid. And not
yeah.
not like we had a luxurious life, but our basic needs were fulfilled, right? And that responsibility never hit me till like I said, 7 to 8 months of when I first started working. And
Mm,
then
mm, mm.
I went on like a spending spree, right? Like whatever money I would earn, I would just go. And I told you, like, I love to eat. So that was the only thing I would actually do. It was not that I went clubbing or I like spent it on
Yeah,
spas or any bad things, but I just went out and I started to eat, right? And I used to go to
yeah,
like
yeah.
all the fancy restaurants that were there. And then, what I realized was, hey, I've been working for this long and I got nothing to show for it, right? I mean, there were, I mean, how my month would pretty much go was first 2 weeks, super fun. I would go everywhere. I would have like fancy coffee. I would eat expensive food. And by the last week,
Yeah.
but I don't have money for the bus. So I'm
You're
walking like 10
scrapping for money,
kilometers.
bro.
I'm
Bro,
walking like 10
the
kilometers.
amount of people I know who are like that right now, like on the 25th, they like one of my previous workplaces. I'm not going to mention where because they might be watching this, but like, bro, they will go on a shopping spree or like a food spree on the 25th or 26th, whichever Friday that is closest to the 25th, and just spend, man. Like, I was there for a while. I was wondering, like, why are you spending? So, say your salary is like 60K, right? You spend 20,000 in one day. Where, like, what is your? Of course, like your parents are there, but like, bro, you're gonna be like in 10 years, you're gonna have kids, bro. Like, calm down. Like, don't be so financially
No,
irresponsible. Of course,
but
this will be spoken
it's
about later
also
on.
it also comes from a place of, I wouldn't say this is not the case for everyone, but I say for most people, it's a case of privilege. I mean,
Yeah.
when I was uh, just as I left school, right? I had never had to earn for myself while I was in school. I mean, my parents had enough and more
Mm,
financial troubles, but they never showed that to me, right? So I always
mm.
thought like everything was okay and, we were financially well
Yeah,
off and all of that. So for a lot of people now, we are somewhere in the middle class, but for then people who are
very
even
much middle
above that,
class.
average middle class, right? But for people who are above that, they would never feel it. They would never feel the need to
So,
cut back on saving a couple of thousand, right? For them, 20,000, thirty
yeah.
thousand, 40,000 bucks. Even there are people I know who spend like 150,000 bucks in a span of like a week, and that's completely okay for them, right?
Yeah. No, yeah, definitely, man. But at the end of the day, we are not telling you what to do. Like that is one thing I want to like make clear. We're not telling you what to do. We are saying our experiences and like our thoughts because everybody has their opinion. Whether you want to follow their opinion or not is up to you. But just listen to us when we say these things. Of course, we are not forcing you to like listen. No. We are not, not saying that. But we also have our experiences. Everybody has their experiences. Everybody has their opinions. You might be saying like, what the does this one know about like my life? I if I want to go and spend 20,000 out of a 60K salary, go ahead and do it, man. Go ahead and do it. But at the end of the day, I think anyone, if you're in that position, I think anyone would say that you're irresponsible if you like bust out 20K in like
It's
one
it's it's
day.
it's, it's really irresponsible to bust out 20,000 if you're earning only 60,000. You get what I mean? So it's very subjective depending on the person, right? So getting back to who inspired and who really changed the
Yeah,
way I think
definitely.
was definitely Gary Vee. And I think getting into the
Mhm,
topic that we were speaking about right now, Iman,
mhm.
I think his name is pronounced
Gachi,
Gachi. Okay, okay.
Gachi. Yeah.
Iman Gachi. Okay. So when I watch his videos, one thing he always says is, hey, you earn a lot. You can also spend a certain amount of it on yourself to have fun, right? But
Yeah.
again, it comes down to being responsible. Like up to date, I still spend a lot on food. My food budget is quite high. But the key word
Mhm.
is budget. I've actually budgeted how
Budget.
much I'm going to spend and what percentage of my income goes for me to eat. Right? I mean,
Mm,
there
mm,
was a
mm, mm,
time,
mm.
there was a time I used to eat like 7 to 8 meals a day, and about 4 or 5 of them used to be from out. Yeah, bro. Like when I was properly gymming and I was doing like one job, right? Those were the good days. Right? We had a lot of free time. I used to gym, like I used to be
Bro
a
says one job as if like he's not working, but yeah, but comparatively now you're like working 5 6 jobs. He's guys, by the way, he's not working 5 to 6 jobs because he's financially like unfree or something like that. He's working so that because he would earn a lot because
no,
one thing
it's
that Iman said by the yeah, so one thing that Iman said like earn, like maximize your earnings. I think one of our guys in Sri Lanka who I think is you can say he's comparable to Iman. His name is Banuka Haris Chandra. He goes as Banu on Instagram. Like he says, maximize your earnings and spend like what you can, but also like save a lot. Anyway, back to you. Yeah.
what I was saying is, it's not that I do so much to with the intent of I have to earn so much. It's not that, and it's not that
Yeah.
I'm really forced to earn either. It's
Mm,
just I know what I want at some point in my life. I have goals that I want to achieve, and I think what I'm doing right now will help me go towards those goals, right?
mhm, mhm,
And what I'm doing also was again inspired by some of the content creators on YouTube, Instagram that I follow, right? And getting back to what we were talking about on spending, it's really
mhm,
important that you do spend a certain amount on yourself. And what I was saying earlier was, up to date, there is an amount that I spend
mhm.
on going out to eat. Uh,
Yeah.
but now I believe it's at a responsible level because it's only a percentage of what I earn. It's not I'm
Yeah.
busting everything. Of course, my savings or my investments would be bigger if I actually saved up on those, but I don't really want to. So even when like the whole crisis hit and the pandemic came and all of that, I I didn't really, not that I didn't feel the effects of it, but like when we had to cut down on certain things, I was like, okay, you know what? I can cut down on it because I actually spent on those things before. I actually enjoyed those things before. So now I have no regrets in cutting those things down, because in my mind, it was always one day I'm going to lose what I have at some point in life. Right? I don't know why. Maybe it's because of a natural disaster. Maybe it's because of my, maybe I got too lazy at some point in life. I don't know. But I always think in a way, I might die tomorrow. I might lose things. So before that, I have to do what I want to do. I have to do what I like and enjoy doing. Right? That's a big motivation factor for me. And then that's something that Iman always talks about as well. And Iman, Gary Vee, and David Goggins, bro. Whoa, massive influence. One of the episodes that we have planned out are like 3 books to read. And I just want to give one away right now. And that is Don't Hurt Me by David Goggins. Bro, insane, right? That mentality, that mindset is crazy.
Crazy.
And the thing what I realized over time, I was reading Don't Hurt Me. I was thinking, wow, what a crazy guy David is. And like, I always used to think, okay, whatever I do, I cannot complain because David has done so much. But then you don't even have to look that far, right? Like I was speaking to my father and my mother, right? And both of them were in the forces. Like they were in the Air Force, right?
Oh, and your mother also?
Yeah. Both my parents. That's how they met.
So I'm like through this podcast, like, I'm discovering stuff as well, man. I just want to say, but yeah, go ahead.
And something that always gets to me is the lack of sleep, right? Like I'm working easily 18, 19, 20 hours a day. So that lack of sleep, it really affects me. Like that's even why I fell asleep before the recording of our first episode.
Go to the first episode to get some context.
Yeah. But then as I was speaking to my father, he was saying, when I was in the Air Force, when I was a cadet, we used to stay up till like 1, 2 in the morning, and we'd be doing a lot of hard labor. Like we'd have to clean the room with like a toothbrush, arrange the bed. And he was like, they couldn't even sleep on the bed because the beds had to be arranged and cleaned by like 4 in the morning. Right. So they used to arrange the bed at night and sleep on the ground. Right. So that's crazy. And so he was saying, he said, I feel for you that you're actually breaking your rest and, you're going through a lot. But he said, if you really compare and think about it, we've been through much worse. Right. And that's exactly what David also talks about. He says, it doesn't matter what you're going through. You can't complain, especially if you're a guy, right? Because even if you take guys our age, there are people we can take, for example, look at Akalanka, for example. So Akalanka is Sri Lanka's #1 swimmer, right? Very good friend of ours. He's number 37 in the world, right? And he's a record holder. And his schedule is insane.
Bro, I told him to rest. Because he called me one day and he's like he sends me these captions, right? So it's like I have to fine tune it, sort of like what I do as proofreading. But he sent me one of his captions and I was just reading it. I read it once just to go through the mistakes, and then the second time to see whether it makes sense. And I was visualizing in my head him going through his regime of work, cycling to the training session, and then cycling back. Now, bro, I don't know about you, but I know how hard it is for him to go there, swim. And this is not what we are not talking about our like normal swim sessions, right? National swimming training sessions, and then cycling back during this fuel crisis, because we had a few fuel crisis in Sri Lanka. Like, legit didn't have fuel for some time, and then that for him to do it, amazing.
And he's not only the champion of one sport, he's actually the national champion for 2 sports. So he's the national lifeguard champion and the national swimming champion. So that is on another level. So by reading that book, Don't Hurt Me by David Goggins, one thing that I really took to heart was, no matter how bad things are, don't ever complain. because it's all in your mind. Like if you, the moment you switch to a complaint, that's it, you're done. Like you can't continue. Even when people, now my schedule is not as hectic as some of the other people that I mentioned,
Mm-mm-mm.
right?
Mm-mm-mm.
But when people hear my schedule, they're like, oh, we get a headache just listening to you, right? Because it's so like
Yeah.
that. Like, for example, my Monday goes up to 24, 22 hours of work, right? So I wake up at 5 in the morning on a Monday and I finish work at 3 in the morning on a Tuesday, right? But for someone listening to it from outside, it feels like, oh no, like what is this guy doing? But for me, it's just, oh, it's just another Monday, right? And
Yeah.
I never wake up thinking, oh God, it's a Monday. I always wake up fresh, man. I always wake up looking to attack the day, looking to complete what I have to do, and going to sleep once everything is done. Like that's a big motivator for me. And that, so David Goggins really inspired that in me. And he was also the person that inspired me to take action. Like you think about something, don't
Mm.
talk about it too much, just do it. Right. Of course, like I said again in the previous episode, I said I was very fast to start things and I get bored of things very fast as well.
Yeah.
So, but there are things that I have started and I have stuck it through for now about 3 to 4 years. So, for example, one thing I decided when I left school I wanted to be was a public speaking trainer, right? I got good results
All
for
right.
my A levels. I got into local university, and my mom really wanted me to go, but I was like, I made a decision and I stuck with it, and I do not regret it at all. And I've been doing public speaking training for the past 4 years. It was something that was in my mind that I just put it into action immediately, and I have not regretted it since, right? But it
You
has
because
been
you
the case.
stuck to it. Like you took a
I stuck
decision.
with it.
You took a decision and
Exactly,
you stuck to it. You were
basically,
decisive.
right? And but there have been things where I've started that hasn't really blown up the way I've wanted it to. But I've always been a quick action taker. I don't waste time
Mm.
telling. I do tell people that I'm going to do it for sure. I talk a lot too, but at the same time, I do it as well, right? And that was again inspired by David Goggins. So those are three people that really influenced me and influenced my journey to starting a podcast. Actually, Gary Vee was the final. He's the one who sealed the deal for me, because I
Yeah.
watched like about 2 or 3 of his videos where he says, the best way to build your branding, whether it's company or personal, is to start a podcast. So I've been trying to do this for a long time, and I'm so happy that we finally started.
Actually started on. Yeah, of course, of course. I think I can agree with your three people, except maybe not David Goggins because I've not followed him that much. Except you told me about your love for his type of content and his mindset. It's pretty unbreakable. Uh, Add to that, so I've mentioned this before in this episode and the previous one. I've mentioned Hamza, like this dude Hamza Ahmed guy is a self improvement YouTuber, and he like self improvement. That's what he talks about, right? Of course, like recently he's been pushing out content a lot. That's very commendable, but sometimes I don't agree with some of the stuff he says because he can be a bit contradictory. But he says that, of course, like don't watch my stuff most of the time. Like select what you want. Don't watch everything. And yeah, of course, you can apply that to this podcast as well. Like don't have to watch everything that we speak about. If it applies to you only, please watch. Like we won't put a clickbaity thumbnail. Sorry, not clickbaity thumbnail, clickbaity title. We'll try not to put a clickbaity title because Sashan is like the one who will handle that. But don't need to watch everything. Anyway, so that's that. There's another guy called Sneeko. He's a very controversial guy when it comes to saying what he has to say. And this guy, I just love his content, man. His content, like he put a documentary out earlier, bro. The quality is insane. Of course, like he's living in the US, New York, so he has all the facilities, all the people that he can get to make and produce. Of course, like you're saying this on Zoom, like literally, it speaks about like heck, bro. The there are cameras that are banned in Sri Lanka. So like, just stick with us. Please stick with us. We are trying to get what we want. We can't get it, not because we are poor or something. We can't get it because Sri Lanka smacked a ban on it. Okay, so it's like, keep calm, keep calm. Okay, anyway, that's my rant. Anyway, that's that. And another guy is, of course, Johnny Harris. The guy, content wise, he's brilliant. Bro, like I'm saying, all these guys, by the way, like very educational guys, and the way they present it content wise is just brilliant. So I think those guys are my go-to people if I want to like, really watch a video.
Yeah, and I would recommend you check these people out as well, because who you watch and who you follow, yeah, you can say a lot about a guy by his YouTube and Instagram recommendations, man.
Recommend, bro. So I watched this, like Hamza also said this video, right? You are what you watch. Like if a guy walks inside my house saying like, I watch Hamza, first thing I would do is like tell him to step out of the house, because he just came inside and said, I watch Hamza. But what I would say is, okay, so that means 80% of us is the same. Like that is the reason, one of the reasons why Seshan and I are same. Like bro, like I live in like city area, Colombo. He lives in maybe the suburbs. But like our mindset and thinking, I'm not saying, bro, by the way, I'm just saying, okay, actually cut that part out.
Are you insulting where I live?
No, my dad was from there. But yes, that is what I have to say in terms of our inspirations to start this podcast. And I don't really know why guys just think of, hey, let's start a podcast. I guess it's just because they want to tell a story. And I feel like I'll be very open. Like I was telling a friend also previously, that I want to be remembered. I have this inherent desire within me to be remembered in the scale of how Mahatma Gandhi is remembered, or like Leonardo da Vinci. I don't know why, but it's that. At least to my country or where I live. And I think that's a massive dream. But try, like Seshan said, try, because you learn experiences from it. And that's what I'm doing right now. Of course, like I don't know where I'm going to be in 10 years and stuff like that. I might have given up on my dream. I might have not. But definitely you might see this podcast still. Like we'll be kids, bro. Like we'll be like,
bro, how's the kid?
bro, I don't know what name to give him. Bro,
let's
help.
Let's decide on it the same way we decided on the podcast name. Let's just make a Google Doc.
Yeah, sure.
Share some names.
Google Doc.
Oh no. All right, man. So I think that pretty much wraps up what we were going to speak about today.
Yeah,
so we hope you found some entertainment as well as some value. And honestly, if we can at least impact one person, that is our goal. So that
is a true story, bro. But just think, right? A person walks inside saying, Hamza, I watch Hamza. I would say that 80% of him and I are connected through content. Like Seshan watches content, which I also watch. So we build that mindset. And you can't say you're unique as well. Like that's the downside to it. The reason why, like one downside to watching the same content is the fact that you're not unique. So if 100 people watch this video, and get together, they're just going to be like one set. They're not going to be unique. That is one downside. But it also depends also on other creators you watch. Seshan and I can watch Gary Vee, the same thing. Iman Gachi, same thing. But like I said, like he watches David Goggins. I watch someone like Johnny Harris. Two different sides of the spectrum. So you can be unique. But that is my take on people who
and who you watch really influences the way you behave as well. I mean, I'm not saying it creates a drastic change
Absolutely.
immediately, but when you continuously keep watching the same type of content over and over and over and over again, I mean, if you watch somebody that watches all these news stuff, right? He's constantly searching for news. He's looking at all this politics stuff. So you would see him
Mm.
complaining a lot about the country, bitching, like talking about things he can't change, and just going on and on and on and complaining most of the time, right? Because the content they're consuming is constantly negative, right? It's always negative
Yeah.
content that they're consuming again and again. So I mean, I am at a great point mentally where I've come to realize, hey, like nothing anybody says really affects me or gets to me,
Matters.
right?
Yeah.
And that gives me the freedom to start what I want. Like even if, you know, a lot of people might laugh because we are starting this on Zoom and like we're just starting it out, but none of that registers. For me, it's just I am doing something. I'm growing my, you know, we're growing our personal branding, right? And to me, it's a journey we are taking. If we succeed or if we fail, either way, I'm glad we did it, right? Because now, for example, the best thing for me was when I got a place to do my classes, right? Like at the height of COVID, where everyone was struggling financially and all that, I thought, okay, bad decision on my part, right? Like I should have done a survey and all of that and really look to see, hey, if are people really interested in coming for physical classes now? And what I did was I got a space, right? I got a space to do classes. And you know for a fact, because you handled my marketing, we we tried to make this work like 3 times, but all three
Yeah.
times it ended up being a flop, right?
Yeah.
And in the end, now I'm actually giving away the place, right? Because it's pointless paying rent to a place where I don't use. But when I went into it, you know, I didn't really think about what will happen if I fail. I never thought about what the repercussions of if I fail. I did think about it and I thought to myself, I can live with it, right? If I fail, I would have lost a considerable amount of money, right? Considerable amount of time, right? And maybe it would make me feel like a loser for not being able to go towards my goals. So is that something I can live with? And I told myself, absolutely, right? Because I'm not someone that keeps harping on the past. I don't keep thinking, hey, I tried this, I failed. For me, it's all about doing it. If it works, great. I profit from it. I do what I have to do. If it fails, I forget about it, right? And that has been conditioned because I didn't used to be like that, right? And I used to be someone that would overthink, that would think of the worst possible thing, that used to be scared, right? So I used to be a person like that. And the content that I've consistently watched and the people I've hung around with really changed my perspective. And now I'm really happy with where I am now. And that's great. That's a great place to be, you know. And I think that's just a super place to be. It's a super thing to do as well. So if you are ever looking for good content creators to follow, and if you are looking to get like motivation, build some sort of discipline and consistency in your life, make sure you follow the right people. Make sure the content you're following is correct. That's a big thing.
Yeah, that's a big tip that we can tell you. Yeah, for sure.
And then, so moving on to the next part of
moving on to the next and final and probably, so it's like, of course, we mentioned this earlier. So can you start one? Of course, you can start one and get going with it, man. It just takes, see, things nowadays just takes a laptop and internet connection. That's all you need. Of course, there are other things like having a stable household and electricity and stuff like that. But if you want to start even a business, an online business, all you need is an internet connection and a phone. Even a phone, you can start it on your phone. You can handle social media accounts of people. That's that. Anyway, back to the point. Can you start one? Of course.
See everyone. Bye-bye.